So yesterday I made a Google search that made me make a video for the first time in I didn't even know how long, YouTube, a little bit over a year ago. That's how long ago it was. So I had just been to my new apartment where I'd made a bunch of measurements for like all the dimensions and whatnot because I want to like plan for furniture and whatnot. And I also made a 3D scan of the place. So I was just doing that using my phone. This 3D scan could only be exported in a single format. Let me see if I can show you. See? That's an apartment right there. It's got the hole in the wall and everything. So I scanned this using Polycam. I'm not sponsored by Polycam. So if I go to the download section, the only format that it exports here is called GLTF. And it just so happens that I am also working on a 3D modeling tool called HalfEdge. I figured this is the perfect moment to take that 3D scan, make an importer so that I could import this file and then basically see the new apartment in HalfEdge. Because that's like a really good excuse for me to implement importing, right? So I downloaded the file from the app and I got a zip file because, you know, that's not a GLTF. But when I extracted the file, I got a GLB file. A lot of 3D modeling formats have like a text-based version, and then they also have a binary version where it's not readable if you open it in a text editor, but you can parse it just with code, right? GLB is the binary version of GLTF, the file format. I want to import this into HalfEdge. In order to do that, I need to make an importer. I need to write the code that imports GLB files. And obviously I don't know like the layout of this file at all, and so I just need that information. And so I go to Google. And so here's what I did yesterday. I searched for GLB file format. I just wanted to show you what all of this is, okay? This is a snippet from a website, apparently called visao.app. What is a GLB file? Learn how to use GLB file formats. Formats. Okay, so here's the snippet that Google caught. It's a little bit awkwardly cropping out that parenthesis over there, but that's okay. A GLB file, which stands for GL Transmission Format Binary File. That's not what it stands for, but I mean, that's what it is, but that's not, whatever. Anyway, which stands for GL Transmission Format Binary File is a, what is this sentence? It's a standardized file format used to share 3D data. Precisely, it can contain information about 3D models, scenes, models, lighting, materials, node hierarchy, and animations. When you open a GLB file format, I don't open formats, I open files, but okay. When you open a GLB file format, you are able to visualize and interact with a complete 3D scene. Well, it depends on what you open it in, but okay. This is why it's also known as the JPEG of the 3D asset world. So far, we're not off to a good start on this article, right? Like there's grammar issues. I'm not entirely sure what's going on here. Okay, so let's keep on reading a little bit. What is a GLB file used for? The GLB file format is a relatively new format introduced in 2015 as a binary format for representing GLTF files, as opposed to the JSON format. This format is commonly used for mobile and web applications, as well as graphical games. Video games, presumably non-graphical, VR and AR applications. So this reads a little bit weird. There's a kernel of useful information here because it compares it here. It says as opposed to the JSON format. And the thing is that like the .gltf file is in JSON, but they haven't actually established that that's the case, right? The readers don't know what the JSON format even refers to here. Like this kind of makes you think like maybe GLTF is an alternative to JSON, right? But that is not at all what that is, right? So this is just a really confusing sentence. With Visao's web platform, you can create an online 3D viewer from a single file, allowing you to showcase your products in a new and interactive way for interactive websites. You already said that it was interactive. Like, obviously that would be interactive, but whatever. Okay. Most of you at this point probably know that this is likely AI generated, right? You can tell, I hope. It sort of has facts, but it doesn't know how to connect them in a way that like narratively makes sense, right? I'm pretty confident that the text here is not written by a human. How can I open a GLB file extension? Like, you don't open an extension. The extension is like the part of the name of the file that says GLB. Like, you don't... Obviously, you would say, how can I open a GLB file, right? I'm nitpicking. You get the idea. Step 1. Locate the GLB file. Start by locating the GLB file you want to open on your computer. Ensure you know its exact location for easy access. Nobody writes like this. If you're genuinely going to write a guide, you wouldn't say that step 1 is to locate the file that you want to open on your computer and make sure you know the location for easy access. Maybe you'd say something like, open the folder containing your GLB file. Step 2, right-click to open. Once you've found the GLB file, right-click on its full file name. Very, very important. This action will open a context menu with various options. Select Open. In the context menu, select the Open option. This will initiate the process of opening the GLB file. It's so much text for something that is so simple. And even if this was supposed to be designed for someone who's like never used a computer before, like which it kind of reads like, I don't think they are ever gonna open a GLB file. Step 4. Choose your 3D modeling program. Windows. If you're using a Windows computer and have a 3D modeling software installed, you should see a list of available 3D modeling programs. Click on the one you prefer to use. Step 5. GLB file opens automatically. We were done on step 5. This is not step 6. Why would they call it a step? What free program opens GLB files? So we got some great choices. We have Microsoft 3D Viewer on Windows 10, okay. We have Blender. Blender is a robust, open source 3D creation software that supports GLB files. It's not only free, but also packed with powerful features for editing and manipulating 3D models. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, Blender has something to offer. Okay. We're just doing an ad for Blender. Like, this sounds like a marketing blurb. Web-based 3D viewers, such as Visao. And remember, that is the website that we're on. We're on visao.app. For a hassle-free experience, consider web-based 3D viewers like Visao. They support... It should be we support. We're on visao.app, right? They support GLB files and allow you to view and share 3D models directly through your web browser. No software installation required, except for your browser, of course. With these options at your fingertips, you can dive into the world of 3D modeling and exploration. What? Without any cost concerns. Exploration? What does that mean? Okay. What is a computer-aided design? Sure. I don't know if I'm like being overly judgy of this, because I now know that this is like, it reads so AI generated, and I'm just like so primed to like read into it. Maybe it's just me, I don't know, but like when I read this, it's like, okay, so this sentence says, the process involves consolidating all the external files of the necessary models, lighting, materials, node hierarchy, animations, etc. into a single project file. If you want to talk about how to create a GLB file, why would you talk about consolidating external files, the necessary models, lighting, materials, node hierarchy, which is like not something you generally talk about as something you have in an external file, right? If you actually want to learn how to create a GLB file, create, not convert. Like you would create it in Blender. Like, why are they talking about consolidating external files? The thing is that like GLTF does have the feature that it can take a bunch of like different files, reference those files within a single GLTF file or a GLB file, right? So like it is sort of talking about a feature of GLB, but the process of creating a GLB file inside of like any of these like 3D modeling tools, you don't consolidate external files unless you're specifically converting, right? It's just weird. Some older versions of 3D modeling programs may require additional software like Substance Painter to export a GLB file. Which 3D modeling program requires Substance Painter in order for you to export a GLB file in that 3D modeling program? What is the structure of the GLB file format? 1. The JSON data part. This portion contains essential information extracted from the original GLTF file. Which original GLTF file? I guess we're talking about converting now again. Like they just segued into talking about converting from GLTF to a GLB file, I guess, right? How to convert GLB files. It is possible to convert a GLB file into specific formats. Below is a list of the most common conversions for external support files. I think external support files refers to files external to the GLB file itself that the GLB file can reference. But that's not what, like that's not converting the GLB file. Once you have your GLB ready, you can use a free online resource that can convert a GLB file in seconds to an FBX. How to convert GLB to OBJ. Once you have your open GLB files ready, you can use the, now they're open, okay? You can use a free online resource that can convert the GLB file in seconds to an OBJ file. Oh, in seconds. Damn, okay, both of these in seconds, that's amazing. How do I convert a GLB file to STL? Once you have your GLB ready, okay, now we're back to one file, not multiple files. You can use a free online resource, still free, holy shit, that can convert the GLB file in seconds to a STL file. How to convert GLB to GLTF. Once you have your GLB ready, we're getting so many GLBs ready, you can use a free online resource that can convert the file in seconds to a GLTF file. It is important to mention that this will increase the file size of your file. Okay, so now we have certain caveats here. I don't know if they know, but OBJ is also a text format. And so if you convert GLB to OBJ, this very same caveat would apply. But they don't mention that because they don't know that, because nobody wrote this, because nobody cares about this who made this website. They don't care about informing people about GLB files. They don't care about people like me that actually want to learn about GLB files and how to use them. How to convert GLB to PNG. GLB is a 3D format. PNG is a decidedly two-dimensional format. I don't know where they're going with this. If it was GLB to GIF, I would sort of get it, because GIF is three-dimensional, right? It is not possible to perform this conversion on the web. Oh, really? What happened to all of my free online resources? I want free online resources to convert my GLB models to PNG images. However, it is possible to easily convert a PNG to a GLB online. I'm sorry, what? Okay, is this like... I do not consent. Convert PNG to binary GLTF and many other formats. I'm gonna try this. Let's try it. Let's just see what happens. Did we do it? Is that it? It's why they spend time implementing all of these formats. You can convert your PNG file to a PowerPoint presentation. Wouldn't you want to do that? Okay, let's convert it to GLB. All right, let's import. We got a mesh. And I think this mesh is actually the same aspect ratio as the texture. There we go. It did work. That's great. We converted a PNG to GLB. I'm actually surprised it managed to do this. What are the advantages and disadvantages of using GLB files? How GLB files are changing the game for PBR shaders. GLB files are not changing the game for PBR shaders. GLB files support PBR material definitions, but they're not changing the game in that way. Unlock the potential of your GLB files. Elevate your GLB and GLTF files to the next level by harnessing the power of visao's web-based platform. Don't let your GLB files remain untapped. I'm sorry, this is just it's just very funny and sad at the same time. Don't let your GLB files remain untapped resources. It's time to explore the boundless possibilities they hold. Like people are sitting on this untapped potential on their hard drives. If you don't let those GLB files spread their wings, you're gonna miss out. Embark on a journey of digital innovation that will set you apart from the rest and reshape the way you engage with your audience. Your GLB files have never had this much potential. Unlock it with visao. So I have a few questions about this article. It looks like it's trying to be kind of for almost everyone who has a very shallow question about GLB files. I'm not entirely sure who that would be. Like if maybe some like executive who's doing like architectural visualization, and then someone from tech is like, we're using GLB now. If you're in a work environment, you would just ask the engineer or whoever it is, and they would tell you. Maybe you're like doing 3D modeling and you're looking through the export list and you found GLB files. And you're like, oh, what's that? And then you search for it. And then you get largely incorrect information about this, but partially true. Okay, and then it's sort of an ad for how to visualize things on their platform that they want to like sell. I'm guessing selling to like business customers. It said pricing, but there's no pricing. Like you search for the GLB file format, and the first thing that comes up is a likely AI-generated throwaway blog post. There are a few snippets of useful information, but I think that's only useful because I already know something about GLTF as a file format. If I knew nothing about it, I wouldn't be able to tell what in here is like garbage or not, except for the like weird like sentence structures. But you know what? Everybody talks about how Google is deteriorating. You know, it's not as good as it used to be. Sometimes you do get AI results on Google, sure. So here's why I wanted to talk about this today, because I started going through everything on the first page. Everything. What program opens GLB files? That is a quote from modelo.io. How to open GLB file, a step-by-step guide. So you've come across a GLB file and you're not sure how to open it? Don't worry, we've got you covered. GLB files, also known as the binary version of the GLTF, graphics library transmission format, file, are commonly used for 3D modeling and rendering. Understand the GLB file format. To open a GLB file, you will need to use a 3D modeling software that supports the GLTF format. There are several software options available, including Blender, Autodesk Maya, and Unity. Unity is not a 3D modeling tool anyway. Once you've successfully opened the GLB file in a 3D modeling software, you can explore and manipulate the 3D model as desired. This may include rotating, scaling, or adding textures to the model. Rotating and scaling, that's a very peculiar choice. What about translation? Can we not translate objects now? Is it just rotation and scaling? In conclusion, opening and viewing GLB files is a straightforward process, especially if you have the right tools and resources. By following the steps outlined in this article, you can confidently navigate GLB files and enhance your 3D modeling and rendering experience. Take me to Modelo. So Modelo, they want me to join. That's what happens when I do take me to Modelo. Recommend. And here's a list of recommend. And they have a thing up here that says AI generation, just like straight up on their website. So let's ask, who wrote this? This one has a date attached to it, so this was written in 2024. This sure explains what to do when you just happen to stumble upon a GLB file. And super helpfully, this article tells you that you need to use 3D modeling software to open it. Wild. In the end, you're going to be able to confidently navigate GLB files and enhance your 3D modeling and rendering experience. This is not written for anyone. This is an ad from Modelo. This is an AI-generated article whose sole purpose is to advertise their product, right? I'm going to start marking which ones are AI-generated here. So this one, the first result, very likely AI-generated. Again, then we had what program opens GLB files. I don't believe anyone wrote this. I'm going to mark this one as AI-generated. What software supports the GLB format? So this one is from cloudinary.com. Once again, we get this marketing speak. It sounds like a corporation trying to market GLB files, but it's not their file format. We have a PowerPoint slide. Cloudinary glossary. How can you prevent compression artifacts? Adjust compression settings. Choose the right compression format. Utilize modern codecs. Stress testing. The bottom line. Compression artifacts are an essential consideration for anyone working with digital media. They result from the trade-off between file size reduction and visual quality. Despite their tiny size, they pack a big punch. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone describe compression artifacts as tiny. With the right knowledge and tools like Cloudinary, so here it's plugging Cloudinary. Utilizing advanced algorithms, Cloudinary automates your optimization process. Cloudinary analyzes the content. Cloudinary's fast and secure CDN. We create, manage, and deliver engaging experiences at scale. Performs shirts, I guess selling products. This is merch. This you can make your t-shirt merch. You can transform, you can crop your face. You can sell products with personalized experiences, products for people to consume. Just travel to various places and just consume more content from other websites. And you can watch the game, and you can just like generate that on every screen. Okay. And engagement and revenue goes up. So this is all about delivering experiences at scale. So I'm going to say that Cloudinary, they also do AI-generated blogs. I'm going to mark that one as AI-generated. Okay, next one is what is GLB versus OBJ? That's also from Modelo. So, okay, there we go. That one is also AI generated. How do I create a GLB file? This one is at a website called Pixcap. GLB file. What is it? How to create and open it? There are several ways to create GLB files depending on your specific needs and level of expertise. Here are a few methods commonly used by 3D artists and developers. So I think one of the things that strike me with all of these is that they are very wordy. It's so... in case you've heard about the concept of a signal to noise ratio, I feel like all of these articles have a really bad signal to noise. Sometimes you can use like words that are not like strictly necessary to like build a narrative. But they don't do that. There's no narrative. Every sentence is like twice as long as it has to be. It doesn't add anything. It just makes it longer. They just so happens that Pixcap is web-based and you can open GLB files online and edit them directly in your browser. They say that it's a great option for beginners and non-technical users since it requires no software installation or prior knowledge of 3D modeling. Like, why add this? Why do they add this part? Since it requires no software installation or prior knowledge of 3D modeling. They've already said this. They've said directly in your browser. They don't have to advertise browser-based apps beyond that. They've said in your browser. It's just filler. And now we're once again talking about converting between different file types. The benefits of using these. Conclusion. GLB files are becoming increasingly popular due to their compatibility with various platforms. Now you're selling GLB files, but you're not the creator of GLB files. You want to sell Pixcap. So start exploring this versatile file format and see what you can create. Happy modeling. This is not a guide on how to model GLB files. It's the exact same vibe. They're tools. Best AI tools. AI 3D model generator, AI girl generator. So all of those are AI generated. Okay. CAD exchanger. What is GLB file type and extension? Okay. Got some products here. We got the conversion stuff going again. And holy shit, we have so many articles about converting. All of this text is specifically converting from GLTF to FBX. And it lists support, pros and cons, history of GLTF history. Nobody wrote this. Nobody wrote this. There's no name. There's no nothing. Supposed people, customers have things to say about this. Nobody wrote all of this garbage. This is AI generated. Then we have cloudinary. That one we already know. That's AI garbage. Pixcap, we just saw that one as well. That's AI generated. And then we have Wikipedia. Wikipedia on this Google page is the first non-AI generated thing. Is a real website written by real people who actually care about what they're writing about. Isn't that like super cool? Pixcap again, we have file format docs. So this one actually seems pretty concise. This actually tells me information that I can use to actually start implementing this, right? See also docx. Okay, so all of a sudden we have docx, okay. About GLB to 3ds. 3ds on the other hand, it represents 3D Studio. DOS mesh file format used by Autodesk 3D Studio. Wouldn't you say 3D Studio Max? Well, why is it 3D Studio? If you're an application developer who would like to add the functionality of GLB to 3ds in his .NET or Java, you can use the aspos.3d API to archive this. So now we got a product all of a sudden. It looks like Aspos 3D conversion app. I'm getting the same AI generated vibes about FBX to OBJ. FBX to OBJ is not an item. It's a thing you do. Okay, I had high hopes for file format, but I'm sorry, file format. You are almost certainly full of AI generated garbage. I'm sorry. Next up, we have videos. Let's see.
Welcome to another 3D comparison video. We are going to discuss GLB files. So this is a standardized file format used to share 3D data.
Okay.
And it has some advantages over other models.
Okay, we got a source, kroscloud, that's good.
So,
Okay, Sketchfab, that's a legit website. Okay, so they're interacting with other websites. It doesn't seem like it's an obvious ad for...
like this gorilla.
Oh, hold on. Hold on, what is this? Hold on.
Website where we can obtain GLB files is CSM.
Benefits of GLB files. They are smaller and more efficient than other 3D file formats. That's not true. Like, that's not the point. They are smaller and more efficient than GLTF. It doesn't compare to other formats. Maybe if you use the compression thing, you could make that argument. This description, I don't buy that being written by a human. AI voiceovers have become really good, and this is like monotonous enough, and there's an accent. I can't tell if it's a real person. It's very monotonous, but some people are monotonous. So this one is, it's harder for me to tell with this one. But the way this is phrased, there's an AI thing by the end. This is a weird slide. You don't really make slides like this, but I mean, some people are just bad at making slides. They recommended Blender in a comment. Okay, that seems like a little bit more of a human thing to do. This seems like low effort content where the script and maybe even the slides were AI generated, but I don't think the person is, but maybe. Okay, so this one I can't tell. I'm not sure if that's real or not.
Hello guys, this is Jan from kroscloud, and in this tutorial I'm gonna show you how to easily... GLTF is the future of 3D on the web.
Okay, so that did not sound believable. I mean, they've censored like their project files and whatnot, which that makes sense that you would do if you're a person doing this. This one is also a little bit borderline for me, but I think this is real. It's a little bit weird to start out by saying it's a future of 3D modeling, which, I mean, maybe you believe that, or maybe you just talk like marketing speak. I don't know. I can't tell. I'm not that good at knowing for sure.
Hello, this is a quick video to show how to export rendered 3D objects to GLB file format.
Okay, I feel like AI generating this entire process seems really... I'm pretty sure this one is real. I'm gonna say this one is real. Next up, we have imagine.io, which format is right for your 3D projects. Immediately, we have a weird perspective viewport here, demystifying GLTF and GBL. Okay? Human readable versus machine readable. True. Again, weird overlay perspective stuff. Reduced file size. They already talked about this. Binary can be more secure. Choosing between. We're experts in GLTF and GLB at imagine.io, and it's in 2024, and they probably have a platform. Are they advertising their platform? It's labeled in every single image. This is their platform. It's again, interactive 3D content on the web. And AI-generated garbage. 3D Ace Studio. GLB files about the format and how to use it for your business. Okay, already off to a businessy vibe. Technological advancements often hinge on introducing innovative products or methods that revolutionize existing markets. We're already off to the most AI-sounding start. Such is the case in 3D design file formats where the GLB file format has emerged as a pivotal player. This format has swiftly demonstrated its superiority and efficiency, becoming a new benchmark in the industry. What is GLB and how does it work? How does it compare to other formats? What is the difference between GLB and GLTF? Where can you use GLB? Popular use cases, e-commerce, presentations, education, games and entertainment. How are they created? Step by step. Expert tip, choosing the right software. Our company has worked with a wide range of software that support the GLB format and identified one program that is superior, Blender. We found major issues and lack of support in all the other programs we tried. For example, making the files in Maya requires a special script, while Blender is designed to support this format by default. A special script, not a plugin or anything, or okay. Tailored menu, how to convert, understanding the preparing your source file, exporting using the results, how can you use GLB for your business? I love using GLB for my business. This is just scratching the surface of all the possibilities available. 5 out of 5, 66 votes. These images are definitely AI generated. It's blog posts written by nobody, and the pros and the cons and the history. No author on this article, nothing. It is just on this website, and it spawned into existence in 2024. I would say that 3D Ace is probably a real company. I think many of these are actual real companies, but they use AI to generate blog posts in order to get traffic. And clearly it's gotten at least one person highly interested in all of their stuff. So both of these are AI blog posts. And then we have 3D Viewer Max. Already we're talking about viewing, opening, and editing and converting in one blog post written by nobody. They have a guide for different software on how to open it. Okay. Why are they telling us about this? How to create them. Okay. Converting inside of the creating section. Advantages and disadvantages. Takeaways as usual. So you've got a GLB file and need to open it up. But which program should you use? Well, try 3D Viewer Max, which is the best option. That is actually their own software. That is amazing that that happens to be the best one. Definitely AI-generated blog posts. So of the entire first page of Google, 2 non-AI results, and then an additional 2 that may or may not be AI-generated. They might be, I don't know. I don't even know anymore. But the entire first page of Google is almost all AI. When I saw this, I was kind of like, okay, what if this is the thing that people have been talking about? This is the downfall of Google, you know? Like, everybody's been talking about how Google has become less useful and it just turns up garbage results. And so I'm thinking, okay, we should just not use Google anymore for search. So I've heard a lot of good things about DuckDuckGo, GLB file format. The first result on DuckDuckGo, AI-generated blog. Then we got visao, this one also AI-generated. This was the first one on Google. File format docs is AI-generated. Pixcap, AI-generated. Cloudinary, AI-generated. 3D Ace, AI-generated. Celteco is also AI-generated blog post. Cat Exchanger, this one is AI-generated. glbfile.com. So this one is a little bit strange to me. This is a website called just straight up glbfile.com. It's very similar things as these websites, but it's a little bit more concise. It says Zoo Cyber, Cyberpunk Zoo NFT. I'm going to call this one AI generated. I don't think someone would get glbfile.com just to dump an AI generated looking thing, unless they're just looking to make ad money down the line, seeing if it works. This leaves us with one fileinfo.com on DuckDuckGo. I'm pretty sure this is a real website. We can see that it actually extends far beyond the AI bubble. AI bubble started in 2021, I think. That's when ChatGPT started coming out. This page has been around for a while, and as far as I can tell, when I dug into the About page and the company, it looks like it's a real website. They may or may not use AI, like maybe they've started doing that, I don't know. But it reads legit to me. On DuckDuckGo, we have one probably human-written result. Everything else, AI-generated. Okay, but surely I must have just stumbled upon this, right? Like clearly, like not every search engine is like this. GLB file format. 3D graphics format. GLB is a 3D graphics format. This is true. But this summary was generated using AI based on multiple online sources. To view the original source information, use the Learn More links. And the Learn More links have 3dviewermax.com, Icarus3D.com, catexchanger.com. Let's just zoom out a little bit here. So Microsoft has their AI, and the sources it's using are AI generated. Okay, maybe it's not the whole page. Maybe it's just the start. Okay, so here we have an AI generated summary quoting AI generated articles. So that's not super good, I think. People also ask, 3D Viewer Max, this is AI generated. Pixcap.com, this is AI generated. 3D Viewer, this is AI generated. 3D Viewer Max, this is AI. Visao, this is AI. This one, these were the weird, middle ground ones. I have a hard time telling them apart here. These two, I think, are real. Pixcap, that's AI. Fileinfo.com, I think is legit. Cloudinary, AI generated. File format docs, AI generated. Icarus 3D, AI generated. Celteco, AI generated. 3D Ace, AI generated. glbfile.com, probably also AI generated. This one is AI generated. We've seen that one already. Marksent Labs, AI generated. This image is from an AI generated article. This is the entire first page on Microsoft Bing. I think you can see my point here. It's insane how bad it's gotten. I sort of thought that this is just a Google problem. And I just keep using Google because it's convenient. And I'll try the other browsers when it's like so bad that I have to go to other browsers or other search engines. This is not a Google problem. This is an AI problem, which, like, obviously, yesterday, finding out that all of these are AI generated, it just became so emblematic of the problem. And I feel like when I talk about this, when I talk to people about the problems with AI, I feel like nobody really like actually realizes the sheer scale of this problem. Like we can't search the internet anymore and find content written by humans unless we filter through all of this. And like if you're someone who actually don't know that much about like GLTF files, you will be reading AI generated articles. You might even get answers to your question about like what are GLB files from AI generated articles. And that is just so sad to me. Like what are we doing here? Like who benefits from this? Like is it the like 3D viewers online that are free and the corporation can make some ad money? They can probably sell an idea to people who are not very, like, they can't tell what's bullshit and what's not. The only reason I can do this is because I know a little bit about GLB files and GLTF files, not even that much. And I know how you would communicate if you write a blog post and how communication in general works when you want to do something educational. And this is so far away from that. This is alien. This is like the average of humanity with all the personality taken out of it. And all you have is this like fake, cheerful blog post that just like answers every question and nothing at the same time. This is bizarre to me. I don't understand how people can think this is okay to even do, like to generate AI articles like this. Like it feels like it's just a bunch of business people who see the internet as a money generator. And they're like, oh, I heard about this cool AI thing. And, you know, you can like generate blog posts on your website for your company. And like you can get clicks from that because like people just search for things and then they find your website and then you get money from the ads. And maybe they're going to use your product. We can even make it so that the AI will try to guide users into using your product in this article, but in a subtle way. And so it looks natural, right? We can even tell the AI to include like 2 typos. Just tell the AI to do 2 typos in the article. So it's a little bit more believable. But otherwise, like give them like information they might be looking for about GLB files and then like generate that article and make it sound like our product is the best one, you know? I'm frustrated with how people are absolutely littering the internet with garbage. And if you're someone, I guess someone like me who grew up on the internet, who likes to spend time on the internet, and I like looking things up, I like learning, I really value learning and knowledge, it's just so hard to find actual intelligence out there of people who wrote things, people who care about the things they write about, rather than this corporate slop. This is worse than nothing. Like I would rather have empty slots here that I have to scroll by than to be misled by all of this. And even like the Microsoft AI thinks that these are like legitimate sources. It cites them straight up as if those are real sources, but they are not sources. They are just another AI. And it's just like feeding into itself at this point. And I don't honestly know what to do about this. I don't know. Like the incentives for companies is to make money. They just want to create content as quickly as possible to make as much money as possible for like ads or guiding them to their product. And like, sure, that to some extent, that's always been a thing. SEO has always been a thing. Companies want to make money, obviously has always been a thing. But the thing that is new here, The thing that makes me frustrated is that these are deceptive. This is deception. Like they're using an AI to create what looks like a blog post written by a human, and yet it's not. And so it's just a bunch of lies. I don't like it when people lie. I think that's a shitty thing to do. And when you fill search engines to the brim with lies and just misinformation, like the sum total of knowledge is getting absolutely poisoned by this. And the better this gets, the harder it's going to be to tell them apart from real human written content. I just don't see a benefit to this. The only thing that I have found to be beneficial with AI, I found ChatGPT to be useful as a search engine to avoid finding all the AI generated articles that other people used the AI to write. Like, it is so dumb. It is just so dumb. So I get so many people asking me, what do you think about AI? Isn't it cool that you can like generate a whole article by just like a short prompt? You can be like, write an article about lerp smoothing, and then you can publish the blog post and then pretend you wrote it. And I'm just like, okay, so why are we doing this? What are we just lying now? Is that just fine? I think when the internet started out, I thought it was a super cool place where you could find information about things that you previously had to like talk to someone about, someone knowledgeable, or find books. And all of a sudden you could just search for anything and you can read about how does a diversion valve work in plumbing. You could find some obscure forum or some like weird blog written by someone who's like super passionate about diversion valves and just has a whole website dedicated to like plumbing mechanics. And you can like tell how passionate they are about everything related to diversion valves and plumbing. And you can be like, holy shit, this person knows their stuff. And you can tell that they're excited to write about this. And you just find these fascinating people who have passion projects that they love to talk about. And that, I find that kind of stuff really contagious. I love reading about people who are super knowledgeable and super passionate about something and just kind of delivering it to you in a nicely presented format. I think that's super cool. And I think that is one of my favorite things about the internet is that type of like, it feels weird to call it communication, but like it is storytelling between us, right? We tell stories about things that we're interested in. We share that with people. And that's fundamentally a human experience. It is human communication. And whenever I see things in the world, when I see art created by people, like illustrations, 3D modeling, level design, level art, user interfaces, it could even be like real life objects. Like if I look at a mouse, like here's a Logitech mouse, or here's a microphone. Something I think is really cool is that I can take objects that are around me, even the cat tree behind me where my son is sleeping, that's Salad. This cat tree was probably designed by someone. Someone cared to make that cat tree. Someone designed this microphone. Someone cared about the finish, the look, the technical details, all of the constraints that they had, maybe some time limitations. And then we have this shock mount here, has a very like peculiar design. Which I think is kind of cool. It's like, it's solid. It doesn't have like rubber bands. This was designed by people who wanted to find like an alternate solutions for shock mounts. Then you have the like weird XLR cable. This is like a 7-pin XLR and I kind of hate it because it's like proprietary for this microphone. But in this tiny space next to me, there are so many stories about people who made decisions about every part of this. Every single part of all of this has a story. There's so much history, and I love that about humanity, that you can take any object, you can zoom into it, and there's stories there. That's so cool to me. That is so cool. I just love exploring that like space of ideas and information and like the process that people have gone through to make anything. So contrast that with something like nature. Okay? So with nature, none of us made that. Like that is not human designed. It is not really, well, we affect nature and we're part of nature, but so much of nature has been created by mechanical processes. Like it's just the laws of physics have eventually created this like super complex universe, or at the very least, our corner is complex according to us. And here, all of the mountains, all of the rivers, all of the animals, all of the ecosystems, the way a frog jumps has so much interesting, fascinating complexity, all the way up to like the human brain, which we still don't fully understand in terms of where certain things are, right? Like it's still kind of a mystery. This is like the inner universe, right? Every part of nature also tells a story. For most of history, that story does not involve humans, and yet we see so much beauty, so much color, species interacting, and they're all so different, and that is so cool that like this is like an emergent property of the laws of physics. That seems really cool. That is like wild that we actually happen to live in this universe where all of these cool things are happening. That's amazing. And now, where does AI fit into this? So we have nature, it's emergent from simple rules. And then we have the human side, which is not emergent from simple rules. Well, unless you could be reductive and say everything is emergent from simple rules, but whatever. And then on the human side, those are stories where we have had a hand in every part of that. We create art, we tell stories, we experience things together, we go through hardship together. All of these things are human communication and interaction. And the same thing goes for even like chatting online or writing blog posts. This is human communication. This is telling the world, I love this thing and I want to talk to you about it because this thing is really cool. I would love to spend a year researching splines for no other reason because it seems cool. That process of curiosity and learning and communicating, storytelling, all of that, I think is part of what I value in life, in humanity, in everything. I've never been religious at all. I don't have any kind of like, meaning of life. Like I've never had like a thing handed to me by some religion or whatever. I don't think there is a like an objective meaning of life in that sense. And so we kind of like create our own meaning. But I must say, I am a little bit jealous of religion right now, because if you have a sense of purpose that you derive from a religion, or any kind of belief really, it doesn't even have to be religious. If you get a sense of purpose from that, and you feel that life has meaning and it's worth being here, even if that belief is based on conjecture, or it might even be false, but if you believe that, you will have hope, and you might actually live a good life, even if it's based off of a falsehood. But in my case, I found meaning in life through creativity and through knowledge and learning. I love these things. It's super, super fun for me to learn stuff, to read about stuff, to see things, to create art, to see other people's art, to take part in playing games made by people who care about the things they make. That means so much to me. And I think for the first time, I've been worried that this is about to be taken away from me. It's about to be taken away from humanity. And I did have a period in my life where I lost a lot of hope for this, right? For everything we do, because of AI. I don't know. I don't really know how to talk about this in a way that like gets across the amount of dread I feel over this. It used to be the case that anytime I looked at a piece of art and I could tell that it was made by someone, there's story in that piece of art. I see what types of lines they like to draw. I see what types of art styles they enjoy. I see what types of maybe characters they like to design, and maybe the types of environments they like to draw. People draw from their childhood experiences in the art that they create. And I think that's beautiful. I think that is so cool. But if the future of art, if the future of content online is to generate it with AI, I think that is a significant loss to humanity. The thing with generative AI is that they have none of the humanity of the human stories that we tell, of all of our personality quirks, our flaws, our desires. It has none of that. But at the same time, some people talk about it as if it's this nature thing. Isn't it cool that we just have this AI and then it's just this emergent property that it seems to behave like some kind of intelligent thing, right? To me, it's not emergent because it's based off of training data that is human. And sure, there's fascinating research that's been done in the field of AI. There's a kind of ingenuity in research for finding out algorithms like stable diffusion, like the human story of someone coming up with those algorithms to solve that problem. That is fascinating to me. But the output of these models, AI-generated art, is made by everyone, but also made by nobody. And it's like you're commissioning an artist who doesn't exist, but you're also commissioning every artist at the same time, because that's the training data. And it's just so soulless to me. I think these past few years have been pretty rough for artists, especially. I have seen multiple artists have their work stolen and an AI model trained on their stuff and is trying to recreate their style. I have seen multiple artists feel a lack of hope, that there's no future for the craft of illustration and art. And I have seen a lot of people, especially in tech, especially in games, who embrace AI solely because it's kind of cool. And I think to some extent, it is pretty cool that it's possible that you can make models like this. But I don't think it is pretty cool when people use AI to spread misinformation, like all the blog posts that we read. And what I find especially egregious is that in AI models, the core metrics of what makes a good AI is how well it impersonates us. How well did it fool you? That is a metric for how good an AI is. And I think that developing this kind of technology and just making it easily accessible, I think that is doing demonstrable harm. Like it has never been easier to scam people than it is now. You can AI generate LinkedIn profiles. You can AI generate a company website. You can AI generate a product that barely exists. You can AI generate social media accounts that interact with each other. There's even tools to create like fake personalities on websites. Like this has arguably already affected the US election. The amount of harmful misinformation and distrust that we are creating right now, I think is a net bad for society. I don't think anything good will come from this. We are making it easier and easier to tell lies to each other. And then we're working on making those lies harder and harder to detect We're making the lie machine better and better. Why? Like, why are we doing this? This is even before we get into anything related to AGI that people love to talk about. The harms have already started happening. We don't need AGI to like face a kind of doomsday scenario in terms of misinformation. I don't know where this is going. I don't know how bad it's going to get, but it's already really, really bad. And I don't know exactly how to push back against this, because unlike crypto and NFTs, which is purely a grift, I think AI actually does make you more productive if your goal is to create products. I think it is useful for that. If you want to create soulless garbage that has no humanity attached to it, you just want to get a product out that you can sell to consumers for them to consume, then AI is really good for you. Like there are so many upsides for companies embracing this technology if their goal is to make money, which it is. I think we have to have a cultural pushback against AI. I don't see legal processes moving quickly enough. AI is moving faster, and it's going to take huge bodies like the EU. It's going to take so long to regulate this kind of thing. I sometimes hear people say that we should make these things open source. We shouldn't let the big companies hold on to these things. And I get the sentiment that we don't trust the big corporations that are only there to make money. We don't trust them to deal with this technology well. But in my mind, making it open source or making it available to everyone, to me, that's kind of like you're going to a kindergarten and you just pour a bucket of guns into the kindergarten because the teacher might actually enjoy going to the gun range every now and then. We are killing our creative industries one by one. I think we need more humanity in the art that we create. We need more humanity in the communication that we have online. I think this environment of not trusting that an image was hand-drawn, of not trusting that a reply on social media was actually a human writing a reply to you. I think we have to do something about this. I think we have to do whatever we can to discourage this type of garbage. When radio was new, people were scared of that, and people said that, oh, this new technology is bad, and everybody's gonna turn into devil worshippers or whatever. And then you had the TV, and then the TV was bad, and it's gonna ruin the kids, and everybody's just gonna be stuck in front of the TV all the time. And then video games came along, and it's like, oh, video games are bad, everybody's just gonna be stuck in front of it all the time. Some people have this attitude that because this has happened over and over again, that thing seems bad, but then we realize that it's not that bad actually, and we just get used to it. I don't think AI is in this category at all. It is a new technology, but it is not a new medium for humans to communicate. It is not a new medium for humans to create art. It is not a new medium for storytelling. It is not a new medium for any of those things. It is the first one out of all of these that are designed to deceive. It is explicitly deceptive. Like people always bring up photography of how, photography would ruin like art forever because people only painted realism. But then when photography came along, people realized that you can do stylized art, and the advent of photography was actually the birth of all sorts of new art that people have never made before because everybody just did realism before then. I don't even know if this is actually true or if this is just a very like Western-centric, we used to do Renaissance paintings. Photography exists today in very healthy forms. Someone can still make hyper-realistic paintings and people are still going to appreciate them for the actual artistic skill and human effort that goes into that kind of thing. And that matters. But I don't know if corporations agree that it matters whether someone spent, weeks drawing a picture, right? Like, this is not a case of technology is just neutral. It's just a tool. Technology has consequences. Sometimes these consequences are bad for humanity. Sometimes we discover things around biotechnology, engineered bacteria and viruses that could legitimately start a pandemic that could wipe out the human race. These kinds of research, like fields of research, nuclear weapons, these are regulated for good reason, because they legitimately pose a threat to humanity. But with AI, because it's digital, I think there are so many people that just don't live in the digital space, that just see AI as a cool thing. And I could just like type whatever I wanted and it just gave me a picture and it was nice. And then I sent it to Jake. And they don't think beyond that. Meanwhile, AI is destroying search engines and it's destroying social media. It is so hard to know now whether or not someone is an actual real person. It's getting more and more difficult to tell. We're just eroding all of the internet. To remove the human from the equation, that's like removing the heart of why I care about the things that I see and take part in as a person. Like I thought art and creativity were these like fields that were untouchable. It was always the story of, you know, AI and robots might help us do the menial tasks. And then we can do the fun things like engage in art and writing stories. Now we have AI that does art and writes stories so that we can focus on the fun parts of life, maybe like working a job that you don't enjoy. We have completely gotten this backwards. And somehow people are excited about this. And a few years ago when this boom started, there was Unity, Adobe, ArtStation, I think Microsoft, all of them, like almost on the same week, announced their new AI technology, that they were like venturing into this field of generative AI. And I think that was the first time in my field of game development, I felt surrounded by people welcoming in something destructive and being excited about it. It's really hard to describe depression to someone who hasn't gone through it themselves. People think that it's just like, oh, you're just sad about something or you're just feeling a little depressed. But depression is incredibly foundational. It is the thing you stand on in order to feel things about your situation. If you don't think that anything is worth doing, why would you do it? If you don't see any kind of future that is worth spending time in, why would you go there? Why would you go to the future if you don't see that as something you want? And when all of this happened and it became so much more popular, that was the first time in my life where I had lost hope. I lost hope that my future would be as interesting as my life had been up until that point. And losing hope is a very, very scary thing. And then at the same time, you have all of these people online who embrace it. It's just a really cool and fun thing. And they say, adapt or die. And that was very uncomfortable to hear during my period of my worst depression, directly related to all of this. And I eventually just had to mute every single AI related word. I had to just mute it on social media. Any post including AI or ChatGPT or Midjourney or all of that stuff, I just couldn't stand seeing it over and over again. Yeah, I think we should take this seriously. I think this is why I'm a little bit jealous of people who can derive meaning in life from something that is unshakable. If you have a belief that is not justified in any kind of reality, and that belief gives you hope, then nobody can shake that. And if that makes you happy, if that gives you reason to be here and continue living and waking up every day, I'm jealous of people who can do that. Because the meaning of life for me has just been shaken and eroded by something I consider to be a parasitic, cancerous technology.
I think some people are probably going to take issue with me using those words, so I just wanted to clarify a little bit what I mean. I'm using them in a pretty precise way. Generative AI depends on human communication and creativity for its training data. And that is also the very thing it is eroding and destroying. And that is the behavior of a parasite. It depends on the very thing it drains resources from in order to survive, without giving any benefits back to its host. It might give benefits to other people, but it certainly doesn't give benefits back to its host. Okay, salad. Generative AI is also explicitly designed to deceive us. A core metric of what makes a good AI is the degree to which it fooled you. By design, we're not supposed to tell whether it's human. Just like a cancer, it is a malignant growth flying under the radar by mimicking healthy cells in order to trick your body into perpetuating the cancer. And unfortunately, much like chemotherapy, treating this will be ugly. I suspect that it will inadvertently target some healthy cells too. And so that's why I'm using those words to describe generative AI. I just wanted to clarify that in case people take issue with the title of this video. Yeah, and my son just unplugged my monitor. Thanks. Toast? Hey? No.
I think the only way that I've been able to kind of cope with this and move on is to believe that it's going to get better, even though I have no reason to believe so. And as long as I believe that, I feel like I can keep on living life and creating things that I enjoy creating and just kind of ignoring all the bad stuff happening. And that legitimately helps. And even though it is definitely me sticking my head in the sand and not engaging with a lot of these things that are happening, I have to keep on going, to be happy, to enjoy the stuff that I enjoy doing. And that's about as much as I can do right now, I think, apart from making a YouTube video because I wanted to read about a file format for my 3D modeling tool. It just felt so emblematic, you know? It was just like, this is so stupid. I don't really know how to end this video. I didn't want to end on such a depressing note, but I've been thinking about making a video about my thoughts about AI in a lot more detail than just this dumb video. But it's really taxing for me to think about these things, and I don't want to, more than necessary. I have a lot of notes or videos that never make it out, and one of them is about AI, and I had actually written a kind of ending to that video. That video is probably never going to happen, so I'm not even going to pretend to know this offhand. I'm just going to read what I wrote, but at least I wrote it, you know? So this is me, just reading me, not some AI trash. I didn't think I would ever advocate for faith, a blind trust, a conviction without proof. But I think we legitimately have to try to be stupidly optimistic, based on nothing but the fact that we probably feel better if we do so. No matter how good AI will become, no matter what industry they will destroy, nothing can destroy my faith that creativity will survive. We will always be able to create things with meaning, a type of meaning an AI will never be able to draw from, because an AI hasn't ever lived, has never experienced life, and the things that inspire us to create. As long as AIs don't live among us people, they will never know a human story on a personal level. They can only ever imitate it. Our story, humanity's story, should be in our hands. My mom's passion for dogs, my sister's passion for art, my dad's passion for film, or I suppose my passion for everything I've done, from level design, level art, environment art, programming, technical art, teaching, writing, music production, everything else I love sharing and learning about. It matters that we were there to create it. It matters that we care about the things we create. I intend to stay for at least 60 more years on this planet. No matter how many people are going to tell me I'm a Luddite, that I'm holding on to old ideas, that this video is pretentious and cringe, that I'm going to fall behind on the productivity ladder, that I'm holding progress back, you'll only ever make me more certain in my blind, perhaps stupid faith that a doodle on a napkin by your child will always be more valuable and meaningful than an AI-generated poster for the latest blockbuster. Even if the entire world disagrees with me, art created by people with real lives, people like you, will always matter. There was one more thing that I found that was kind of the cherry on top. The moment I figured I would make this video was when I found this article, Step Files Simplified: How to Open, Convert, Edit, and Create. Here's what I found. Listen to a discussion to learn all about step files. We draw on our deep knowledge and experience in helping manufacturers with 3D files to explain the advantages and disadvantages of step files. We'll cover why people use step files frequently and which programs you use to open, view, and convert step files. So this is a discussion. Do you think this is a discussion between real people? Or is this a discussion generated by an AI? I have listened to the first minute of this, and I just want to share this with you. Let's listen to this.
Okay, so ready to unlock the secrets of step files. We're about to dive deep into this essential file format and discover why it's a total game changer for anyone working with 3D designs. Imagine you've poured your heart into creating an intricate 3D model, only to find out your collaborator can't even open the file. Ugh. Talk about frustrating, right? That's where step files come in.
What's fascinating about step files is they act like a universal translator for the 3D world. They allow you to share designs between different software programs, no matter how different they are, without losing those critical details that, you worked so hard to perfect.
That's like a dream come true for anyone who's ever struggled with file compatibility issues. But what exactly makes a step file tick?
A step file, also known as an SDP file, is a standardized CAD file format. It allows for the exchange of 3D design data between different CAD and CAM software. Think of it as a common language that all these different programs can understand.
So it's like Esperanto for the 3D design world. But why is this standardization so important?
That's a great question. Imagine trying to build a house where everyone speaks a different language. Chaos, right? Well, in the world of 3D design, that lack of a common language used to be a huge problem. Different software programs had their own proprietary file formats, making it a nightmare to share designs between teams or companies. Step files came along and said, enough with the confusion. They provided a standardized way to exchange 3D data, ensuring that everyone is quite literally on the same page.
Okay, I'm starting to see why step files are such a big deal, but let's talk advantages. What makes them so much better than just sticking with the program's native file
I hope
format?
they get to
one of the biggest
conversion
advantages
later.
is accuracy. Step files retain an incredibly high level of data fidelity, meaning that they preserve all the intricate details of your design. Even after multiple edits and transfers between different programs, you can be confident that the final design will stay true to your original vision.
That's a huge relief. No more worrying about designs getting distorted or losing important details during the handoff. What else makes step files so powerful?
Their versatility is another major advantage. SAP files are used in a wide range of industries,
Suddenly she's louder.
from architecture and manufacturing to 3D printing and even product design. This is because
That was
they
an
can
audio
represent
glitch.
complex geometries and surfaces with a level of detail that other formats simply can't match.
So they're like the Swiss Army knife of 3D file formats. You can use them for pretty much anything.
That's a great analogy. They're incredibly flexible and adaptable, making them ideal for a wide range of applications. And of course, we can't forget about collaboration. Step files make it so much easier for teams to work together, even if they're using different software programs. Everyone can access and contribute to the design using the same file format,
Using different software programs. Software program, okay.
ensuring that everyone stays in sync.
Okay, I'm totally sold on the benefits of step files. But let's get practical. How can someone actually view these files? Are we talking about some super expensive specialized software here?
Not at all. There are actually a ton of options for viewing step files, catering to different budgets and technical expertise. For simple viewing, there are plenty of free and paid software options available like FreeCAD or aViewer. These programs let you open the file, rotate it, zoom in and out, all the basics you need to get a good look at the design.
So you don't need to be a CAD expert to open and view a step file.
Not at all. These viewers are designed to be user-friendly even for those who are new to 3D design. And for those who need to collaborate on designs, there are also cloud-based viewers like eMachine Shop and ShareCAD. You can access the step files from anywhere, share them with others, and even get feedback right within the platform.
That's super convenient, especially for teams working remotely or across different locations. Okay, viewing is covered. What about editing step files? Is that a whole other level of complexity?
It can be, but there are options for that too, depending on your needs and technical comfort level. Many of the viewers we mentioned, like FreeCAD, actually have basic editing capabilities built in. You can make simple modifications to the design, such as resizing objects or changing their position.
So you can do more than just look at the design. You can actually tweak it if you need to.
Exactly. And for those who need more advanced editing features, there are dedicated 3D editing programs, such as Autodesk Fusion 360 or SolidWorks. These programs offer a full suite of tools for modifying and refining 3D models.
So for those who are really serious about 3D design, there are professional-grade tools available that can handle even the most complex edits.
Absolutely. And those who are comfortable working with code can actually edit a step file directly in a text editor like Notepad++ A, as they're stored in plain text ASCII format. This allows for precise and granular modifications, but it's definitely more of an advanced technique.
Okay, so we've got a whole spectrum of options, from simple viewers to
Plus
powerful
A?
editing software.
What?
It sounds like there's a tool out there for everyone, no matter their technical skill level.
Exactly. And the best part is you don't need to break the bank to get started. There are plenty of free and affordable options available, making step files accessible to everyone.
That's fantastic. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground already. We know what step files are, why they're so beneficial, and how to view and edit them. But before we dive deeper into the world of step files, I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier, the fact that step files can be edited directly in a text editor. Can you elaborate on that a bit? It sounds pretty technical.
We are 5 minutes and 26 seconds into this podcast. It's 41 minutes long.
It is a bit more technical, but I think it highlights something really interesting about step files. While they're used to represent complex 3D designs, they're ultimately based on a plain text format. This means that if you're comfortable with code, you can actually open a step file in a text editor and see all the underlying data that defines the shapes, curves, and surfaces of your model.
Who is this for?
Wow, so it's like peeking behind the curtain of the digital world, seeing the raw code that makes up a 3D object.
Exactly. And while most people will never need to edit a step file in this way, I think it's a testament to their openness and transparency. Unlike some proprietary file formats,
I was considering maybe I'll just listen through the entire thing at the end of the video. But I don't think I can do it. It's like, imagine if this is the future of podcasts. This is the future of YouTube. This is the future of streaming. We just AI generate our favorite streamer, and then we have the most engaging streamer to listen to every day. And we don't have to have any shared experiences with other people. And now you never have to step outside. You never have to talk to anyone ever again. You can just you can just generate your own world, make your own experience machine, and then as long as you're hooked up to the nutrient machine, you will experience your favorite TV shows, your favorite video games, You don't have to deal with other people ever again and all of their problems. You don't have to listen to their issues. You can just have fun and enjoy content for as long as you like. For only 99